Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God, we ask in the meeting today to guide our commissioners to give them good insight and to watch over our holy effective citizens.
Good morning, everybody. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from last week.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion, we pay the claims in the amount of $110,468.29.
I'll second that motion.
I have one
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
abatement.
What's the change on this, David? Is it the
Like 400 and something.
418?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve add and abate number 2022-902 for $418.92.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I had email from Amanda this morning, said she won't be able to make it over. She's short-staffed and has a grant meeting at 9:30. But she's reporting for April, they had 423 patient contacts. And they attended Jayhawk's in-service day to provide outreach services to their staff. And then she ended with, she's here all day if any commissioners want to stop by after the meeting.
You got anything else, David?
I think that's it for now.
Gary, you got anything right off the bat?
Nothing that can't wait.
All right. AMR?
Good morning, Galen Anderson with American Medical Response. Ambulance transport numbers for the past 7 days was right at 7. And we finished last month out with 50 total ambulance transports. So next week I'll have the breakdown, the detailed monthly report. Other than that, just still recruiting for the one paramedic position. And I think that's all I got. Anything for me?
I don't have anything.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank
Yep.
you, Galen.
Have a good week.
You too. Randy?
Good morning, Randy Higwold, Linn County Rural Fire Emergency Management. Weekly run summary, had 7 incidents last week. Brings our total up to 158 for the year. The only other thing that I have for today is I'd like to ask for a 10-minute executive session for non-elected personnel to include the fire board.
Okay.
I saw a lot of activity going on at your firehouse the other day there in Pleasant. What were you guys doing? Is it like a cleanup day or something?
So Pleasanton School District had what they call Community Service Day. They brought kids down, done some cleaning. They washed the trucks and just done some community service, something they do annually. But so they come down to the station and spent from about 8 o'clock to 10:30 there.
Gotcha. I don't have anything else.
I don't have anything, so I'm trying to.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Kevin?
Morning, Commissioners. Kevin Friend, Linn County Sheriff. As far as our numbers, total inmates in today, we have 54 in. I had 13 releases this past week. Had 32 of those farmed in from other jurisdictions. Had a total of 117 911 calls, 4,497 jail contacts. Total calls for service this past week were down quite a bit, 513. That was down from, I think, like 724 last week. Civil service papers served were 9. We had 17 new cases open, 6 cases closed. We worked 5 vehicle crashes. SROs had 60 calls for service. Bailiffs, I don't think the number got on my email to you, as 122 folks in the front door at the court, when they had 26 calls for service out of that. We had 8 livestock out calls. I have some information. Of course, today's the 1st, so we did our billing this morning for outside agency holding in our jail. We billed Wyandotte County $39,352. Built the U.S. Marshals $32,648 for holding, and another $2,117 for transporting their inmates. And we billed Department of Corrections $405 for a total of $74,522.41 for the month of April. So that's what I have for you this morning. If you have any questions for me, I'll stand for those.
I don't have any. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Good morning. All I have today is I need 5 minutes of executive time for personnel.
Sean, ready? Is that Sean right there, Kevin? Or, sorry. We're ready for you if you're ready. Did you make it up there to prayer due to the
Yes.
judge now?
Yep.
Were you able to make it? He called me and I was like, called him back the next day and asked him I was like, what do you need? And he's like, oh, yeah, when did you go to this? I'm like, I forgot all about it.
It was fine.
Sean West, Public Works Administrator. Start with the culvert bids from last week. And we're asking that you accept Wellborn Sales for $41,676.29.
These are the bids. These are the bids that we opened last week, right?
Yeah. And you'll notice on there, although we bid both galvanized and plastic, this is a purchase of all galvanized pipe.
And we do this, and this will get us through this year or this coming year. Is that how?
This is what the shop foremans wanted for this year's purchase.
Weren't they looking at a trailer one time for them too? Did we ever do that?
The north shop was looking for a trailer similar to the south shop to move them around. Currently, the north shop is using a 5-ton with a spindle hitch equipment trailer rather than the shop foreman being able to preset those with a gooseneck on the back of the truck. But yes, we were looking at that purchase, and when it came up the last time, we were told they could drive down and grab the trailer from the other shop and move things around, which I'd have to talk to Mike to see how well that's working out.
I will, on this one you recommend, I'll make a motion that we go with Wellborn Sales for a culvert bid for the amount of $41,676.29.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next item I have for you is sealed bids on excavators that we were looking at, and I'll ask you to open the bids and give them back to them so we can qualify it, and I bring the shop foremans in next week so they can tell you what pieces of equipment, because we're looking at attachments and multiple pieces of equipment being replaced by these.
These are for the boom mower deal, right? Is that?
Yes, boom mowers, backhoes.
So I have a bid for Bobcat. It's for an E145 Bobcat excavator. And with attachments, the total price would be $280,815.
Is that like KC Bobcat or is it, what's the company?
Yep, KC Bobcat out of Olathe. Easy one.
Yeah.
Got two different prices on the one for this for the cat, and one for Mound City and one Lacing. It's two different prices. So. My cat 313 hydraulic excavator for the, I guess, let's see, it goes to Mound City over Lacing. Let's see here. There's two prices. There's net balance was $298,458 for I can't see what you make out with what it is. I can't see it on there.
Yeah, I'm not seeing what the difference is real quick. This is Foley.
Yeah, that's what. It's for a 313X 079X excavators, Caterpillar.
We got a 298,458 and another one that's 286,519. So I don't know what the differences are until you go through them.
Mine's from Murphy Tractor and Equipment, which is a John Deere piece. I have a 135P. For $245,559. And then a 130P for $231,800. I don't know just what these came with attachments. Smooth bucket. Are you guys here with Murphy?
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys want to add to, can we allow them to talk about their piece that they bid?
Sure.
You guys want to? I think we're,
Yeah, there's 3 separate bids, there's 130P, which is,
oh, there's 3 of them?
it's not a zero telephone.
Oh, okay, there's that.
135 is zero telephone. And then there's a Fecon quote, with a Fecon whole sheet.
Okay, yeah, and I missed that one. It's, the Fecon mulcher is $38,732.
That motor can go on either unit? Yeah. It's 130 is not a zero telephone, 135 is a zero telephone.
What exactly does that mean, zero tail swing?
So when you spin, you're hammering on motor over your track.
Oh, I gotcha. And Sean, when you asked for your bids, what did you ask for? Your bid description was what?
I don't have the RFP in front of me, but it was based off of what Mike and the shop recommendations were, and that's why you have some larger and some smaller machines. There's a parameter on it, and they wanted to look at what the machines and those parameters look like and the cost of them.
That must be the difference in the price, just not see the difference on the number. Machine.
And then we'll, like I said, we'll take those back, and then I hope to come with the foremans next week so they can make their explanations of what equipment they're going to replace or want to substitute this equipment for.
You want that back?
Hey, I've got a contract with Burlington Northern Santa Fe for the Hells Bend Bridge project. It should have been something that you were able to read. I believe Gary's got the hard copy. This is part of the process that our engineers have been working with Burlington Northern on, but something that we have to agree and sign in order to get the work done across the railroad and keep on track for the timeline, and we are up against the timeline on this one.
Main point that you need to be aware of is that their estimate is that it'll cost about $12,000 to do the engineering, but that's not cap. I mean,
Correct.
that's an estimate.
Are we responsible for all that, or is that in the cost share? Or?
No, that's, well, I think that all comes out of our pocket. That didn't come out of the grant.
Yeah, this is all grant funded, right? I mean, it was a matching grant.
The matching grant, but the matching grant, I don't believe, as Gary was pointing out, I'd have to look, but I don't believe covers the engineering. But the rest of the project's an 80-20 grant.
What kind of motion do we need for this, Gary, just to,
Motion
Got it.
to enter into that, what do they call it, contract for services, or I forget what they.
I'll make a motion that we enter in with BNSF Railway for the preliminary engineering services agreement that stipulates that an estimate of $12,000 in cost for the Hells Bend Bridge project.
I'll second it.
motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll be meeting as part of that bridge project. I'll be meeting with Gary this week to go over the offer letters, excuse me, for the right-of-way purchases as well. These are, again, on a timeline. This is the first bridge project that we've done right-of-ways on with our staff. So it's been a process, and we're going to be trying to push this through rather quickly to get it done. North Shop, we had some complaints on some road, or on a roadway on two bridges on 1700. Mike met with Peppercorn Engineering at those bridges and looked at what we can do to mitigate some water damage near the embutments. I believe both of them are near the embutments or wing walls. And as a part of that process, after meeting with Peppercorn, I purchased a tamper for our backhoes, because the tamper we have is a hand tamper. These projects, what it is the water and the silting at the embutments we're going to have to repack the approach to these bridges. And in doing so, we didn't want to use a hand tamper because it's not going to do a good enough job. We were able to purchase one off Purple Wave for $800 to fit our hydraulic equipment, which is extremely cheap for that type of piece of equipment. The next thing I have for you is the estimates on the containers. You asked me to go back out to custom and look at those container estimates. The estimate we got from Kerr was 10.5 and a 30 to 45 day turnaround. The estimate I got from custom puts the container at $10,150 for a single container, with $616 in shipping. So when you add the shipping cost to customs bid, they are just a little bit higher than what we can source it locally for, and the timeline is going to be much quicker on a local purchase.
Are you wanting to proceed with that, or what do you want to do?
In order to get those others repaired, we're going to have one to switch out. And with the conditions of these containers, I assume that not only could we end up with one that is going to be more cost prohibitive, but yes, at this point, I don't see another option other than going ahead and purchasing it so we can take one offline at a time and try to repair what we can.
What do you just think? Is he taking the back, like the back swinging gate, the compaction part? Is he taking that off and reusing that on the one he's building, or do you know?
I do not know. I believe these were bid with new assemblies.
Do everything?
Thought he said in there you could build them, didn't he?
I can't
I
remember.
thought he said you could build everything.
He did say that.
What's your thoughts?
I think we should move ahead with J.R. Kerr's bid and start getting these worked back into shape.
I'm good with that.
So after he builds this first one and we get it going into rotation, he's going to mobilize out there every now and again and
We'll pull another one offline. We'll have to wash it out and get it ready for him, and then either he'll take it to his shop or we'll deliver it to his shop, or he'll come out there. I can't tell you which for the repairs.
How do we, is he just going to do it per container, like a price, or how do we do that?
I would assume that we're going to have to take the containers, or he'll come assess what containers next in the rotation and then give me a price on those before we go forward on each one.
I'll make a motion that we go with J.R. Kerr for 10,500 for the trash container for the new one.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been moved and second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
As part of the work approval that you gave last week for the tipping floor, I contacted Kerr, Page, and I'm making contact with a plumber as well. Our plan now is to notify, and we have notified the haulers that we will shut the tipping floor down from June 2 to June 12. This is a Friday, and then the following week after that, and a half a day that Saturday over the weekend. Our plan is to go in, shut the operation down on Friday morning or Thursday evening, start Friday morning, taking the tin off and jetting out the drainage system for the tipping floor. Once that's been done, hopefully by afternoon, Al's got a power washer and he'll take the manpower from the tipping floor and they will clean off all the steel and power wash the work area for the following week, leaving the Saturday single operator to only do C&D, brush, and tires, with the tipping floor being shut down that Friday and Saturday, and then the following week. At that point, once the tipping floor is repaired, then Randy Page will have to go in and work with us about the tin and get it back up, and then we should be operational the following week. We've notified the haulers by email, and we intend to publish at least twice before that date in the local paper so that we can let everyone know that that will be down that week.
Do we have him on the schedule to come, or Al to come in and talk to us? Did you ever get anything set up on that, or did you talk to him?
As far as bringing him in, it wasn't going to be this week.
No, I know. Have you thought about that?
I'm trying to work with him and Terracon to get them in here, both to speak to you. As part of the landfill projects, we need to set a date that I can bring the cities and the lakes in. I would like to bring them in on the 22nd of this month and kind of let you all give them some idea of the security of those sites. We've got an issue at one of the sites where some repairs need done in order to come into compliance with permitting. And there's been some questions from those partners as to whether or not that's cost effective for them if those sites were to be taken down and we were to do away with that part of the process. So in order to answer those questions, we'd like to bring them all in, let them talk to you directly about the sites, their concerns, and the future of that process.
Do we have contracts with each one of them right now, or are they back from the 80s? No, we don't have anything?
You talking about with the,
The cities?
This is cities and the
Oh.
lakes.
I misunderstood. I think the contracts are kind of
In the 90s is the one that,
outdated.
last one I've heard of. So, yes, if you're okay with that, we'd like to put them on the schedule for the 22nd. And then we'll make contact with them.
I'm good with it. I'd like
Works
to.
for me.
All district, we're going to bring you the striping bids for the projects that Todd spoke to you about, one of them being Radcliffe and the other being Wall Street. But we'll bring you the striping bids here in the next week or two. Maintenance was working with park staff to replace electrical in one site that affected three others this week, and they've got those repairs completed as far as the electrical. We're waiting on some pedestals to put back in. the boiler at the courthouse, we had a bid on some repairs. We tabled that discussion as I recall the last time I brought it to you about those bids, because we were concerned about what we're doing with an overall scheme of the heat and air and everything in that building. We gained an extension from the fire marshal's office to get the boiler into fair weather so it could be shut down and repaired. We're coming closer to that deadline, and I need to look at, I don't believe we are going to be anywhere near completing any projects that would take over the heat and air service for that building before we need to address this boiler issue and get it repaired so that we come in compliance and we're not at odds with the fire marshal's office.
I thought we'd said we were gonna have to fix it.
At this point, I believe that's our only option at this point to fix the current boiler and then drive on in the future if
We have a bid on that?
yes, we do from CDL. I'll have to gather that for you. It's sitting on my desk, but we'd looked at that the last time I was in and spoke about the bid. I think that's the last item I had for you unless you have questions for me.
Has the feds reached back to you about the Xena Road?
I've had absolutely no contact with them or Wildlife and Parks on Xena Road or the bridge since we backed out of that project.
So as of right now, what's the status of it? We're
It's blocked off waiting for them to take whatever action, that they're going to take on the project. But they have not reached out to me because the project is rather costly. I can reach out to them and ask them if they have any intentions of us pulling the barricades and opening that roadway, or what their intentions are, and get back to you.
But that's all on road that we've vacated, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
The only thing we have is our county barricades as assisting another government entity, county barricades blocking that roadway.
I had a citizen reach out to me. I think it might be Jason's district, but right there at area G, between area G and Boycourt, those roads, where it's kind of fallen into the river a little bit. We have cones or something up there.
We have cable fencing that we've got some sloughing off in that area, and we've looked at that area with our engineers. But that, again, is going to be a rather costly fix, and after I get done with the bridging project that I'm working on, I'm going to get with Gary, but I think I have a more cost-effective solution.
So it's
For that.
been brought to your attention. I mean, I know.
Yes,
that
I'm-
we've briefly talked about it.
I'm well aware of it. In the end, I think that may be because there is a rail trestle on the east side of that sloughing, and this is federal ground on the other side of it. You can't get farm equipment through the rail trestle, and you can only come from the other side. I think it's probably what I'm going to do is, and I'll check with Gary first, but I think what I'm going to do is bring you back a proposal instead of moving the roadway further into the hillside, which is going to be very expensive, that we may do something as far as vacating that road over to the federal ground, because
There's two ways around it too, right? Can't you go down past Boycourt and go back around and then?
yes. But this service is a very small group of properties, and the farming side of it, to my knowledge, because of that trestle, you can only come in on one side because you're not going to move very large equipment through and underneath that trestle. And that roadway is going to continue, each time we move it away from the river, it's going to continue this process, and the river is going to continue sloughing off the soil that supports that road system. You have the CDL bid for those boiler repairs. And at this point, just because of the timeline with the extension with the fire marshal's office, I'd ask that you approve those so that we can get those done within a timeline, allowing us to report back to the state and to remove that extension and get a certificate on the boiler.
Have you, I know at one time we were looking for bids for the HVAC. I know it's a huge, undertaking, but have we got anywhere on that?
We got a request back from the folks that were looking at the systems, and they were wanting to know what the State Historical Society wanted as far as some type of shielding for outside units, some guidance as far as what could and couldn't be done and the cost effectiveness of it. And I've made multiple attempts through phone and email to contact them to no avail. And when I say them, I'm talking about the state.
We have to wait on them before we do anything
Well,
like that.
yeah, basically, we need them on board, anything we do in that building. I don't know what the repercussions would be if we just went ahead, probably nothing, but we'd be in violation of the rules.
Is this something, the STARS program in Pleasant, I know they have an HVAC class or program. Is this something that they could help with this and for learning, and maybe we could cut a little cost on it, or do you know?
I do not know whether or not they do boilers versus what type of HVAC units, but I can tell you in order to get the certificate through the fire marshals, it's going to have to be a certified boiler maintenance.
Didn't we just do something that was $12,000 a few years prior to this?
My understanding there's several parts to this radiated system in the boiler, and these seals, there may be upwards of 8 or 9 of them. I can't tell you how many coils are on that system, but my understanding is a couple of years ago, we replaced 2 of them or 3, and now we're looking at replacing 2 of them as well because they're leaking. And these are the seals or gaskets between what you'd normally see in a radiated household radiator. These are sections in that big boiler with the gaskets between them, and once they start leaking, they pit the sections. And if they pit the sections and the seal won't take, that's why we had to wait so they could have everything on hand. We're hoping that we don't have to replace sections, but we wanted those sections on hand in case we had to replace them. So the end cost may be as high as the bid you see there, but if we don't have to put all the parts in it, then it'll be the maintenance bill and whatever the seals are.
So next year, do you think we're going to be replacing 2 more seals?
I can't answer that. From what I remember the conversation with the gentleman that came to us, those seals should be repaired or replaced on a 3 to 5 year cycle in order that this doesn't occur. But because of the cost prohibitive nature, most people wait until they have a leak and then replace them. Because these are on the back end. He's got to break the whole thing down to get to them.
So it says right here, it says price is good for 30 days on it in the They bid it on 220. Is that still?
That's correct. That's correct. And they were going to, from my discussion with them, they were going to make sure they had the parts available before they scheduled the work. But if you approve that amount, I'll go ahead and call them back, make sure their bid's still accurate and complete, and schedule the work.
I don't think we have much choice on this.
We don't have a choice. It's hard, but I guess that's what we're going to do. And the CDO was the only one that bid.
I'm sorry?
They were the only ones that bid it.
They were the ones that did the primary maintenance, and I believe we may have had another company look at it, but CDL is the only one I have a bid from.
What do you think?
Gotta do something.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead with the CDL bid to replace the seals in the boiler at $10,874.
I'll second it.
Motion and moving second. Any more discussion? Can we actively be seeing what we can do to eliminate this from happening again in 2 more years, another 10 grand? And you said there's 9 cells, right?
There's somewhere between 6 and 9 cells. I've looked at the system once with one of the covers off, but I'm just judging on what I saw in that with the covers off. So there are multiple cells. I can't give you an accurate number, but I would say between 6 and 9 is a good guess on what I saw.
So if we're going to continue to keep the boiler or whatever our plan is moving forward, should we we have some kind of maintenance program in place with CDL or somebody to maybe will that cut the cost in the end, you think?
I can inquire about that, about scheduling in advance the replacement of those. I think the issue for that at this point is going to be that 2 seals got replaced this year, 2 seals got replaced 3 years ago, trying to get all of them on the same schedule. But I can look into that and see what it would cost, just go back and replace those.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Do you want me to sign this?
I don't believe so. I don't think it takes it.
What I was asking was, it says they're holding their price for 30 days and we're over 30 days, so they're gonna come back for more, you think?
No, I'll call them and sure that the bid's still correct on that before I do it.
And it could be cheaper than that, he said, if.
Oh, I hope so.
If we're gonna be waiting on parts till the end of April
Oh,
on
is that-
that deal, there's a lot.
So if it changes, I will come back. I won't. And then, you ask about Randy coming in and speaking to you about some of the buildings and, the work going on there and what we need to do in the future as far as those buildings, and also about the landfill. And he's here to speak to you now.
Okay, it looks like we're a little ahead of schedule.
Randy?
We're done.
Well, what was your findings?
Well, we've been doing a little demo over in the courthouse. We got all the material and stuff figured to do the wainscoting and that kind of stuff that's they asked to put in. And I've been talking with Sean on the process of how to get this material. And I've also learned the way we're going to try to do these different contractors. So I have some that's interested in giving us the price to do the work.
So have you've looked at the district court's building, the attorney's office and the jail?
I haven't looked at the jail.
No jail. So just those 2 buildings?
Mm-hmm.
So, and our original plan was to try to get David and voting over into the attorney's office, correct?
That's what we talked about, and I think we were wanting to see what kind of cost and if it was feasible or not.
Do you think that's going to be feasible?
Oh, I think so. I mean, the building itself, not that bad, but it was, well, I was.
You're
and
talking about
we
you're
pushed
talking
more
about the double wide.
Yes, the brick facade.
Okay.
So, but we're trying to push more towards the old judicial building right now. I haven't really looked into much of the old attorney.
So do we need to move forward with bids on this, or
I'm sorry?
we need to move forward with bids on?
I think that it sounds like you're ready to. Isn't that what you're saying, Randy?
Mm-hmm.
If Randy comes in with bids from the subs that he's working with, you could approve them and we'll do contracts with them.
And the judicial building would be for the people upstairs of the courthouse right now, correct? Is that still the plan?
Mhm.
And we've kind of had some preliminary drawings when we walked through them with him, and he's aware of all that.
Yeah. The only thing that we have done as far as that building, as far as discussion, is we're gonna have to have, sites for computers and figure out our layout for that and, get a bit of how that pulled in.
Did you see what you see? He said you saw what we'd kind of planned. Did you think that was a good start for us and that would be feasible?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I said the courthouse, it's ready for the walls to be built for the conference room, and then everything will be ready to start remodeling, and like I said, the wainscoting and stuff like that, so.
So the major item in there would be in the old courtroom, right? To build the petition wall or whatever.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, it, worst part, tearing all that other stuff out. So,
I mean, are we all on the same page? Do you know what we're talking about?
What are you talking about in the
So
courthouse?
in the judicial center, the old judicial court building.
Okay.
Sean, do you have the drawings for that by chance? We'd figured to take everyone out of the top of the courthouse. They're upstairs, which would be Pam and the appraisers, take them down and put them in that building. And we kind of had a layout. I'd walked through it with Sean and some of the department heads, and we kind of got a plan together. And it was looked like a pretty good plan, pretty, minor repairs. And I think the biggest thing we wanted to do was put in the courtroom, demo out like the jury stand and stuff like that, which is, I don't know, is that wood or is that concrete?
underneath the jury stand was concrete.
Oh, it's concrete.
Everything else, I believe the judge quartered up there with his wood.
But with that jury stand and stuff, it's not gonna, we proposed just to leave it if it was concrete, right? I mean, 'cause it's,
Yeah, I think, well, I didn't see nothing about tearing it out.
just storage is kind of what we're
Right.
utilizing it for. So right here, we wanted to build a wall. So build two walls right here. This is the courtroom. So you walk in, he's resetting. So we build a wall here. And then the rest of it's just kind of, is it some flooring, just some patching of the flooring and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's all that carpet it's that old rubber
Right
base
here,
carpet
demo.
on it. So.
Demos needed courtroom walls, flooring, widen doors, removal of carpet, build walls, old courtroom, lower the drop ceiling, old courtroom, and then tuck point on the exterior, and then cosmetic repairs, paint, wainscot type stuff. Cause that building, it flooded, I don't know, how many years ago was that?
I'm not sure. Do you know?
3? Whenever,
It's been about that.
so, and it came in above one of these windows. Jim, did you know about that?
Yeah,
And we got
a drain line plugged or something.
the gutter system, yeah. The gutter's weird. It runs through the metal here and then ran inside underneath the windowsill. So, but pretty basic repairs, I believe, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're all agreeing, we can probably move forward with that.
Move forward and get the bids.
I think so too.
You want that?
While Randy's here, the
Demo of that building has caused the gallery chairs and the jury box and the chairs in there. Most everything you saw in the separation of those was just a cheap wood structure that's all going to be damaged and trashed. What do you want me to do with that group of bench seatings and the pedestal seats and things that we pull out of that building.
What can we do?
Get them out of our way. Quite honestly, I don't see a large use for these things, but they were a costly item, but this is going to be something that somebody has to have a specific use for and that we're going to store and remove several times before we auction off or get rid of.
Yeah.
I mean, in my estimation, if you don't have a building set up like that one, you're not going to have much use for them.
Why don't you take some pictures of them and advertise them real quick, and get them out there and see if somebody will buy them. I mean,
Somebody come and take them out or?
well,
I think they're all removed and ready to, they're removed and ready to be pulled out. They're just in the way of the progress.
Would we have to put that on some kind of the list? What's it called? If we were
surplus
to,
property.
yeah.
Probably if they're saleable, you probably would need to put them on a list of surplus property, but that's easy to do. I mean, if Stars has use for them, maybe you want to just do that.
We got storage. And so you need a month or two.
They're already out.
The gallery seats are out, the jury box, they're out. Okay.
They're just all ready to be taken out.
We can store it until you guys decide what you do with it.
How do you feel about that, Sean?
As long as it's out of the way of progress and gives us time to figure out what we're doing, I don't care. But it's definitely in the way.
All right, works for me. Well, you want to get with Dr. Allen and figure that out?
I will.
Is that all you had?
Yeah.
Thank you, Randy.
Thanks, Randy.
How long do you think it'll take you to get bids?
Oh, I have some interested now.
Oh, you do?
Mhm.
So you want to come in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I would say so.
2 weeks? Is that good with you guys?
It's good with me.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Dr. Allen, while you're here, we were talking earlier about we have to get some boiler stuff done over here in the bottom of the courthouse. And I had mentioned something about the STARS HVAC program. Is that something how does your guys' program work? Would that be something you guys could help on a little bit? And
Well, we have community service improvement. That's something the instructor says, yes, this is something that I can do and it's a good educational opportunity for the kids. And then we start from there. And it can happen quick. Yeah. It's May the 1st and we're kind of running close.
Right.
To the year, so we're not taking any new community improvement projects this year, but for next year, we can start planning. And I gave you guys all the 5-year plan. That's one of the things that's going to be real important for us in the 5-year plan is every group of students that comes through has a community service project that they're working on. So yeah, absolutely. It's something we can do. We want to do it.
Not gonna work this time, but
yeah,
maybe in the future.
yeah.
Okay. We had Randy on the agenda for a personnel session a few minutes ago, and then Jessica was needing about 5 minutes also.
Yeah. We'll go into executive session for, how many minutes did you need, Randy? 10 minutes, with Randy on personnel executive session,
Including the fire board.
including fire board. And then we'll just go ahead and get Jessica's out of the way too. Right after that, 5 minutes for personnel. Is that all? She's not even in here.
Yeah, that's all she'll need.
So 15 minutes total in the executive session. That's my motion.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
My name's Mike Ernst, and I live up on Eulery Road, south of Lynn Valley Lakes. And there's some gossip going around, and that's why I'm here. I'm wanting to make sure it's all it is gossip. That Lynn Valley's trying to annex down to the top of the hill, south of me. And I'm just wondering, is that a fact, or can they do that?
I haven't heard any.
I haven't heard anything.
haven't heard
Gary,
anything?
have you or David? You guys?
Hadn't heard.
That's the question, can they? It depends on the property owners. If the property owners are opposed to it, then it's what they call a unilateral annexation. It can happen, but there are several steps they have to go through. But yeah, if it abuts the city, does it?
Do what?
Does the land you're talking about abut the city? Is it up against the city?
Well, when you go up Eulery Road, there's a horse ranch there. And right there at that horse ranch is where Lynn Valley starts. And it goes up to Miami County. But the way I understand it, they only got the west side of the road, and the east side of the road is still the county stuff. It ain't in Lynn, they don't classify it in Lynn Valley.
Okay.
And I just want to make sure that, if they are or not, because our ground in there south of that is just farm ground. And there's a few houses there, but
Right.
nothing that would make the valley any money unless they wanted the tax money to help them on their taxes.
Well, the chances are they probably could. There are some restrictions on what they do and how they do it. Restrictions in terms of the size of the tract that they can unilaterally annex. It's got to be connected to the city. If it's not, then they have to get permission from the commissioners to do an island annexation, they call it. So, but we haven't heard anything. I don't think any of us have.
No,
Okay.
not even in just discussions with them about what's going on in their area. And I have been in contact with Cindy Smith and the council.
Because I know that they tried to go from Miami County line to Jingo and annex all that up through there. And Miami County told them, no way that they was going to let them do it. So that's why I just wanted to check and make sure.
They've got a lot of projects that they're working on,
Yeah, yeah.
but I haven't been told that that's one of them.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. And I
Thanks,
thank you very
Mike.
much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Mike.
All right. We're going to move to Jay Allen and the STARS program. So if you want to come up and kind of just introduce yourself and what you got going on.
Jay Allen, I know most of you here. I'm the director of STARS. I'd like to introduce student representatives that came along with me today. We've elected student representatives. Brooke, would you stand up, please? Brooklyn Lohman from Jayhawk Linn. She's heavy equipment. She's represented for her senior class. Cordell Self is representative from senior class. He's welder. Go ahead and stand up, Cordell, so they know who you are. And so Tony Gillespie is representative from the junior class, and Braden Baldwin's representative from junior class. Tony, Cordell, and Braden are all from Pleasanton. And so these were representatives. If you want to hear from one of the students, Cordell has been thrown under the bus on speaking. If you have questions for any of the students about their specific programs, we've got HVAC, heavy equipment, and welding represented from our student representatives. And so I'm here today to discuss funding for STARS going forward. And so I've given you guys my 5-year plan on what it looks like for STARS. The reason to start STARS and go with STARS and then ask for funding was to see what level of interest. I wasn't going to ask the county to fund a program that really had very little interest. And we've got interest from all 3 school districts in Linn County, and we've got interest from Lewisburg from coming out of the county. STARS, in my mind, and this is my 5-year program, this is mine. This is not a board. This is not anybody else's. This is what I envision for STARS looking like going forward. It's here for the county. It's here to give the kids opportunities that they wouldn't get otherwise outside of STARS, being in the county. And in the 5-year program, it lays out year 0, which has already happened and went in planning, year 1, which is near the end of year 1, and it's a learning process. And we're looking toward year 2. And year 2, the growth has been phenomenal. We were able to handle year 1 with smaller class sizes, with tools from the instructors, and we kind of broke the backs of me and our instructors with, providing tools and providing classroom space. And we've got a bunch of old circle tables and chairs that were, the schools weren't using. They were surplus chairs that were left over. We need to take this to the next level. We need to have a school that we're proud of. And in order to do that, we've got to have a funding source. And so, straight to the chase, I'd like to see if the county is interested in getting behind us, funding this, so we can continue to grow and develop STARS. I can go into details about anything in the 5-year plan or details on anything that you guys would like. You're welcome to ask the students to present before you ask questions. You guys tell me how you want to go about this.
What was your enrollment this year, and what are you projecting for next year?
So our enrollment started at just over 50 this year. We dropped down to 40. We had students that enrolled, but it wasn't for them. We had students that enrolled but weren't willing to do the work or weren't showing up or whatever. Enrollment next year, we're looking at a little over 80 new students and 20 returning students. And that's kids that have already enrolled. They've enrolled high school classes that they can have time out of the day for STARS. And so that may change, that may go up, kids may move, that may vary a little bit, but we're looking at going from around 40 currently in the building to well over 100, probably closer to 115, for next year. We need classroom space, bathroom space, bathroom, we got 3 bathrooms. We need, when you guys were talking about surplus material, it was like, hey, that helps us, with building computer labs and things like that. Need to take the place from looking like an old car dealership and turning it into looking a little more like a school and a little more something we're proud of. That parking lot's pretty beat up. We've done a little work. Braden's HVAC crew has plumbed the place and done a lot of electrical work. Their crew has done a lot in taking the building and improving the building. We have actually functioning hot water now because of their class, project. And it's just continuing to do that. But we're looking at probably not quite triple, but over a 200% increase in students next year. So it's taken off.
So with your increase, you're planning to put a board together that's going to start making all your decisions?
So before, when STARS was still an abstract idea, there was a discussion of having a board, and the board would be consisted of 3 members from the industry, which we've already got one that said, yes, I'm willing to do this. And so it's important. I want to do this. This is important for workforce development. It's also just important for the community. I don't think there'll be any problems with getting 3 board members. We would like a representative from the county. We want to be a good partner with the county, and we want a representative on the board. The board will meet quarterly. We want representatives from all 3 school districts, and then a representative from Fort Scott Community College. And so you're getting the interested partners, which are the unified school districts, Fort Scott Community College, the county, and then the industry. So we've got a mixture of industry, government, and school that are all involved in the board. So there was some thought put into that. I like an 8-member board because you never have a 1 vote. You have to have 2 votes to carry that board. And so if it's a tie, the vote doesn't carry. And so, so you gotta have a majority with an 8-member board. That's open to ideas. It's open to criticism. This is just the idea that floated through. And so there's interest in the community. There's been a lot of interest in the community. There's interested in adding more programs to STARS with what we're doing. And we're working on doing that. In fact, in the 5-year plan, it talks about adding, additional programs.
So right now, can you just name so everybody that's watching can understand what all programs do you have there right now?
So we started with EMT, medical coding and criminal justice as more didactic, more classroom type programs that didn't require a college degree to get into the workforce, but they're more didactic. Carpentry, HVAC, welding, and heavy equipment were more of the shop type programs. Carpentry fell through. Carpentry fell through for a couple different reasons, and it was primarily communication reasons and communications with instructors and instructors not being there. And so carpentry is our hole. It's our deficit in our program. It's one that we've got a plan for fixing, going forward. And there's been a lot of community outreach of, hey, we could use this. And carpentry helps complete us with working toward building affordable housing. I've got a community member that is interested in a fairly sizable donation to get carpentry up and going, but we need continued funding for the program for the instructions. So Fort Scott Community College has been really beneficial at getting supplies, getting the things that we need, that they have no interest at all in improving the campus. And it's a hard sell for them to tax Bourbon County residents for a campus in Linn County. And I get that, and they're not wrong, but they have been good about providing supplies for the welders, supplies for the carpentry projects that we have done. And I think all you guys have done, you've all been involved in community service projects. And so they can talk to you about the ones that they've done with limited funding. And we can do a little
So
more.
you guys, I mean, you get help from, the school district, stuff like that, but you're a standalone entity, right?
What
we-
funding sources do you have?
Zero. We've got no funding
You're not,
sources.
so you're not part of USD 344. You're
No,
standalone.
344 purchased the building to jumpstart this program. And so 344 owns the building, but as far as funding, they can't really fund. It's the way school districts work is they've got set budgets and they can't deviate from those budgets too much. And really, these are college kids. They just happen to be enrolled in high school as they're taking college campuses. So the funding from 344 and 346 and 362 cannot help because it's not in their taxing district. So they can't help, and Lewisburg can't help. They can send us students, but they can't really help with funding. And so
This is open to all ages, right? Not just high schools.
you can enroll if you want. Whoever wants to enroll can enroll. Once you've graduated high school, then it's $105 per credit hour to take classes there. We've got 3 that actually enrolled this year that have already graduated high school.
Now, do they receive credit hours back to the school they're going to from?
So if you're in high school, you get dual credit. And dual credit matters on what classes that you take. So like Braden's dual credit will be different than Tony's dual credit because they're doing different pathways.
When
And
you
so,
say dual credit, you mean they're getting high school credit and college credit?
yes,
The school's actually getting a credit, the high school's getting a credit from this, even though they're not investing any money.
in a sense, they're getting a credit that they already had. They had this credit before. It's just, they don't have a student on their campus while they're giving this credit. And so, like if we use Braden as an example, he's getting a science credit. Well, he's doing some pretty advanced physics. He's doing some pretty advanced electrical stuff. This is pretty advanced high school science that he's getting. It's just workforce type science. It's a science credit that without him doing HVAC, no chance that he gets this in science. And so it's usable. It's real world science. And so like our math is going to be fractions and sixteenths that, they're going to be doing algebra and some other things that's great. And if you're going to go to college, you need to learn that. If you're going to go into the workforce, you need to learn how to read a tape measure. Read a tape measure forwards and backwards and starting in the middle. So they are getting credit, but it's a credit that they already had. Does that make sense?
Right.
So say you weren't able to get any funding, what happens to the program next year?
Without funding, we're going to have to rely on donations. And with donations, it's going to be hard to seat a board. I don't know anybody that would be willing to seat a board that says we need to make this happen, but we've got to go borrow money or ask for money in order to do this. Without that, then I think, I try another year to raise money as best I can, but probably we probably don't see the board because there's not an account to work with. So like this year, I think I probably had roughly $3,500 in cash donations. And so with those cash donations, we bought some materials for the welding trip. We bought a industrial fan to blow the smoke out of the shop that the welders create. Cordell, did you wash your? Yeah, you washed your face. You should have seen him before he came in. We got to get that smoke out. And so there's people in the industry that have helped us out quite a bit. Usually it's supplies. We get a lot of supply donations. And so we had this left over from the job. Can you guys use it? And yes, we can use it. It's going to be hard to do any remodeling. We'll have to do some, but it's going to be hard to take an old car dealership and turn it into a school that I think the county would be proud of. And so.
So that I seen in the newspaper last week that you guys did well at a state competition or something. Did you guys pay out of pocket, or did they have to pay out of pocket to go to that? Or did you get a donation to help fund that? Or how did you guys?
Cordell, do you want to talk to that? Do you?
On that, when we went to that competition, both Jayhawk and Pleasanton funded most of that for us. I mean, when we stopped in gas station or something, we want to get anything to eat or something at a gas station, we bought it out of our pocket, but everything else the schools funded for us.
Schools provided transportation to it, and then they're planning on the living accommodations. And we remember I told you we had some cash donations. We're covering everything else, with the cash donations.
What kind of competition was it, Cordell?
It was a welding competition over in Garden City that was between Kansas, Oklahoma, and Nebraska, and Texas. All four of those states, and we took first in that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And he's been humble. Not only did they take first in the team event, they took 4 out of the top 5 spots. So they did really well.
So you guys compete against competitors that have been doing it for years, probably?
Yeah.
Programs?
There was a couple of people out there that were actually on the pipeline that came out there.
That made you feel pretty good, didn't it? Good job. I seen you guys look really nice in the front of the newspaper too.
So I'm happy to open up questions to any other students. If you got questions to students, part of the purpose of bringing them here is they've been elected to leadership. I want them to see how leadership works. Part of it was opening them up so you guys can ask questions. My instruction to all the students was just answer the questions honestly.
So there was like a stucco for the program?
We kind of made one. Yeah. And it was just kind of seeing who each class thought was leaders, and then fostering that leadership and getting them involved in planning and leaderships and committees and things like that. Trying to teach them real world experience.
Dr. Allen, what are you needing? What are you asking us for? What are you going to use it for?
So I need what I can get. I need a remodel.
But I mean,
I need a remodel of the building. I need to improve that facility. That is the primary concern. What I would like is some funding that community service projects can be a little, it's something that we can just do without having to think and plan and wait on funding to come in and wait on borrowing to come in. So like Braden's HVAC project, they did the house that Prairie View built and is going to, the 362 is going to end up selling the house, and they try to build affordable housing. That project almost didn't happen because the funding wasn't there. And in fact, it took us a long time. It took us about 3 months to just, line up and get the funding all arranged before we could get that to happen. So, I need what the county feels like they can afford. What I would like is I would like to ask for a mill for 3 years. At the end of 3 years, my full anticipation is that will drop back down to maybe a half mil, maybe even a quarter mil. I don't know. I don't have a problem with saying this is what we've done with this. I think Stars should own the building. It should not be 344 that owns the building. If 344 owns the building and we end up getting a new superintendent and says, I'm not on board with this, they sell the building, we're done. We're done. It's at the whim of one person
So right now, you're leasing the building from Pleasanton?
for zero. Yes, it's a lease. I mean, it's not a great long-term option. It's a short-term option to get things. We knew when we started that selling an abstract idea was hard. Selling something concrete that you can actually lay your hands on and see what's going on, and concrete numbers and concrete enrollment, and it's very measurable what we've done at this point. It becomes easier. So I've already talked to the school superintendent, and he said, take over the payments. And so we take over the payments. Stars owns the building. The board identifies where the needs are. I don't identify where the needs are. The board identifies where the needs are. We've got government, we've got schools, and we've got industry on that board telling us what our needs are and where they're going to need to be. From my perspective, and my perspective only, and this is my plan, we got to have a place to put nearly triple the kids that we have now. We got to have a place, classroom seatings and actually things that look like classrooms, there. That's where we're at. We've done a lot with a little this year. It's hard. That's hard to do. Having some funding lets us do a lot with something in our pocket that we know we don't have to wait on getting this done. We can just get it. So, and I do think there's opportunities with the county and with industries for community service projects that I think the whole county is going to benefit from this. And they're already doing it. The county is already benefiting. We've got all corners of the county that are seeing some benefit of expertise that our instructors and our STAR students have.
What route could we, I mean, what kind of route could we go, David and Gary? Do you guys have any input to make this happen?
I think the most likely route would be simply to budget in the general fund and increase your mill levy by whatever amount of a mill you want to fulfill that line item. Wouldn't you say, David?
Yeah, I think that would be just what it is.
What would that be? If there was 1 mil like he had stated, what would that be per year for that program?
Well, that's going to vary year to year depending on our value. In just a second, I can tell you what it is this year. So this year, 1 mil countywide is $320,000, $320,005.
What's your thoughts?
I'm not ready to do it right now. I think it's a great program, but I think the schools need to have a little buy-in to it too, myself.
So as a school board member, as somebody that's sat on these meetings with funding, I don't think it's possible at all for Jayhawk and Prairie View to have much in the way of buy-in. Maybe some supplies, maybe they can, it's with their students. Both districts have provided transportation to the students. Asking for more, I do not think, their superintendents can tell you more. I really don't think that there's going to be a lot of wiggle room, in that for them. 344 would be the smallest and the poorest school district, and they've got the most buy-in currently, but that's not sustainable. It's not sustainable, and it does live at the whim of, we hope this next superintendent is on board with what we're doing at STARS, because if he's not, STARS is is going to end. It would not be sustainable. So what I'm presenting is looking at a sustainable. If a mill's too rich, a mill's too rich. I get it. You know, it's, I've got big visions, you know, the old history or the old, saying is that, history favors the bold. And I've got a bold vision. I get that. If we need to have less of a bold vision and take a little more time, we do it. But I think if we like what we're doing, we've got to figure out a way to make it sustainable. And right now, we're sustaining, but just barely. And so, that's my take on it. That's an opinion. That's not a fact. That is my opinion.
Okay. I think you're doing great things over there, and I think it's a worthy cause for us to pursue different funding opportunities and different things that we could do to help.
If 3 years is too ambitious, 1 year, I'll come back again in a year and tell you what I did. It's, and it won't be what I did, it'll be what the board, you know, is, decided to do. We'll show you tangible projects. I think if you go, to Lacing right now, you're going to see tangible things that happen because of STAR students. If you go to Hidden Valley, you're going to see tangible things. If you go to the city of Pleasanton, you're going to see tangible things. And hopefully we can continue doing that in all parts of the county. And so, it's going to be tangible. I mean, I'll be able to bring you back very concrete stuff that you can lay your hands on and show you what we're doing. And, just so we're clear, I'm not asking this for the instructors, and I'm not asking this, for myself. This is for the kids. This is for the kids to get an opportunity. And the opportunity that these guys got, no kids that had ever graduated 344, 346, or 362 had these opportunities.
I wish I did. I wish it would have been around.
It's never happened before.
So, I think it's a great program. I don't think they're asking for too much. I think it's our duty that we should buy into this program and help it succeed. With us revamping our budget, I think in detail this year, I think it's something that we could definitely support. So I'm on board with it.
So we need to continue to go out, and do a little more research and maybe talk to the school districts. Or what's our steps going forward?
I can't answer for the superintendents, but I can answer from a school board member that, budgets are set, budgets are tight, budgets for anything that's outside of general school, is pretty hard. And, if we're counting on that, as part, that may happen, but it's going to be probably a year down the road. My timeline that I'm looking at is I graduate students the 12th next week, and then I've got from the 12th to the 14th of August to try to go in and remodel and revamp the building. And so try to get some classrooms set up, maybe hopefully get some more bathroom space set up. And so I'm running up against the clock a little bit on that. And so from that sort of timeline, that's not trying to push you guys to make a decision you're not ready to make, but that's just the timeline that we're working with.
Okay.
David Lee, what is can you explain a little bit if we did put 1 mil against this, is it going to really affect the county? What's going to happen? How can we make this happen?
Are you talking about putting a mill out there now or putting it on next year's budget? Because that would have two different sets of consequences.
Not that we couldn't find some money this year if you're wanting to do something, but that's gonna take looking at all the budgets and figuring out where we have cash and how much to work with. For the following year's budget, really your limit is whether or not you wanna go over the revenue neutral rate. Because you can levy whatever you need to levy. But if you go over that rate, then there's some more steps to go through. And in the couple of years that's been in effect, we have not done that yet. But we're not gonna know where we're at on budgets until all departments turn in their budgets over the next.
So Just so we're clear, in my mind, I don't need dollars today. If I know that those dollars are coming in eventually, I don't think we're going to have any problem with getting a bank partner to help us with this and saying, okay, this is when things are going to happen. You know, this is what we're going to do when we borrow $20,000 for this remodel. And I don't think we're going to have a problem with a bank partner with, I don't want to put anybody's backs against the wall with saying we've got to have money today. What I'm asking for is a plan, a sustainable plan that helps us sustain this. But as far as right this minute, we don't need it. And I could be wrong, and I may have to co-sign to do this, but I'm willing to do that.
I think we budget and fund a lot of things in the county, and I think this one, in my opinion, should be in the top 3 or not 5 things that we should be taking care of and helping with the community. So I think it's a huge asset to the county. I've been over there and I've looked at the program a few times and, you know, did a little research on it, and I think it's great. I want to see it succeed. So I'd like to do anything we can to make it happen.
And like your teachers' salaries and things that way, is that going to be included in this stuff, or is that how's that already taken care of?
That's Fort Scott Community College. And so Fort Scott Community College takes care of the supplies for the program, the teacher salary, and then they do pay me a little bit, although it's not what I make at my other job, but they do pay me a little bit of a salary to kind of build this up and get it going. So where this might help with a teacher salary is when we're bringing on a new program, and new programs are difficult to fund. So like with Fort Scott Community College budget, they get paid next October for all the students that we had this year. And so it's always behind the budget. And so they've got to take out of their general fund to support this until this comes in, and then it starts sustaining itself. And so, so with carpentry was our fumble last year. It was a fumble, and I would say, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, jump in. I would say that one of the things that we did real right is the instructors we got. And so, and a lot of heads are shaking that we got good instructors. We got a bunch of people that are doing this for the betterment of the community and the betterment of the kids. And sometimes you're going to find that right person. Sometimes we had some that said, yeah, I'd love to do it, but I can't afford it. And so, and able to supplement that salary, you know, where they can't afford and come in and teach their skills to the next generation.
So are they able to use like FAFSA Pell Grants or anything like that to help pay?
If they've graduated high school.
Oh, if they've graduated, that's the only way they can do it?
If they haven't graduated high school, they don't need it. It's, and I believe it's Senate Bill 155 that allows for this sort of training. All the programs we offer are set that they lead to certificate programs at Senate Bill 155. And don't quote me on the 155. I think that's right. But the 155 allows these programs to be taught at the high school level at no cost to the kids.
So at the end of their class, going into summer, do you guys require a internship anywhere or anything like that?
We don't require it. We suggest it. We want that. We want the kids doing on-the-job training in the field that they're interested in. It's taking it in a classroom, you know, in a shop building, and then going out and, I keep picking on Braden, but going out and sweating your keister off because somebody's air condition broke, that's 2 different things. And we want the kids to learn those real world environments, and they're going to learn that with an internship. Now with our seniors, with Cordell and Brooke, we're not worried about getting internships. We're worried about getting them actual jobs.
So you guys help place them into a job? You do?
Yeah, that's part of the instructor's role and part of my role is doing that. We've made good progress with that. So that's my piece. I'm open to other questions. Do you have questions for any of the students? They can probably get back to class if you don't.
Do any of you guys want to share your experience with the program or what it's done for you or anything like that?
Somebody got to step up to the microphone. Cordell got voted at the end of the last order today.
The welding program that I'm in, it's helped me in a lot of ways I didn't think I could. Because when I was in the shop over at 344, I didn't get taught nothing on how to weld or anything. I had to self-teach myself to weld, and we never did projects or anything unless we brought it in. But here at Stars with Shane, with his real world experience, and he's been doing it his whole life, him teaching us what he knows and helping us go on with what we can do. And first semester, we were just learning how to weld and everything. Now, second semester of this, we are actually going on what we want to go do after high school, because if you want to go be an iron worker, he'll base your agenda to do what they do. Pipe fitters, same thing. But most of us are trying to get in the pipe fitters this year. And he's been helping us out a lot with that.
Now with Shane, because I know Shane was part of that, and does this program, can it act as like an internship or a apprentice? I mean, does that go towards their apprenticeship or no?
It can. There some
Testing out, I guess.
Yeah. Some contractors ask if we want to get tested out, but we just said we just want to go in as first year.
That's an instructive question, and Shane and I have spent quite a bit of time talking about that. I think most of the welders this year would probably be able to test out nearly all their first year. We don't think it's good for the development.
Right.
We think it's better for the development to go in, not with a target on their back, who's this hot shot, go in just like everybody else, and don't tell them that you're good, show them that you're good. And so, listen, I got a lot of confidence in these boys, and I had a lot of confidence for them in third city, and it was well-founded confidence.
So you guys will be competing, with all your programs, like a Skills USA type competition. Is that what you try to do?
That all comes.
Right.
And so it's two things. One, we weren't ready for it this year. Our welders were ready. Everybody that competed was a senior, and they were ready for the competition. So like Brooke's class, heavy equipment, she's the only senior in heavy equipment, and they just weren't ready. They didn't have the tools to get ready for Skills USA. Plus, we just didn't have the time to send them to something like that. Next year, I'd love that all the groups, HVAC and heavy equipment and carpentry and all of them go to that Skills USA competition. And it requires funding. Anybody from other programs say a word or rather not?
It's all right. I wouldn't want to talk either whenever I'm still not very good at it. So, but I appreciate y'all coming in. And I think we'll, hopefully we can make this work for you guys. I guess now our decision is what we, go ahead. I know you got something you're going to say.
I think if we're looking at seriously funding this, we need kind of estimates on what you're going to spend the funds on and which projects. I'm not saying that we have to have it perfect or anything that way, but I think we need to know what your goals list are. I know we have your 5-year plan, but and what those items are going to cost.
So my vision, and just so we're clear, I'm looking at other sources of funding, and I will be a good steward of the county money. And if we come back in 3 years and we don't need additional funding, we will tell you we don't need additional funding. So I haven't really spent a lot of time on a budget because there's no money to spend. It's there's just nothing there, to spend. So $3,000 to hire an architect, to get me an architect stamped approval just to do a remodel. I can't do anything with any permanent structures without spending that $3,000. I'm estimating $25,000 to do the classroom remodel and that's with us doing the labor of doing the classroom remodel, getting that showroom to look a little less like a car showroom and a little more like a school. and probably another 10,000 for parking lot improvement. If we get the funding that we can take over payments on the building, that would absolutely be part of it. And if there is funding that we can supplement salaries, that would be the next part of it.
And what are we talking about on the building?
As far as the classroom building or owning the building.
Owning the building.
So I believe that it was $275,000 was the purchase price. And if we get funding and we can pay that off in 2 years, we pay that off in 2 years or 3 years or, you know, whatever the case may be. The current superintendent has told me that if you just take over the payments, I'll be happy with that. It's, they got it, you know, got it up and started. And so, and then the important thing is that it'll be what the board, the STARS board, thinks is the highest level of funding. Right now, it's my opinion on what needs, you know, it's, we know that our class size is going to better than double and probably close to triple. And, you know, we need more bathrooms, we need classrooms, we need desks. You guys took your heavy equipment test today. Where'd you take your test?
In the shop.
On what?
Game table.
Yeah,
Chairs.
yeah. Donated chairs. You know, it doesn't look like a classroom. It's in a wood shop, and they're taking their course test and their heavy equipment 2 test. I mean, we're using what we have, and it's the test is a test. It's the same. We shouldn't be having kids take, you know, course test in a wood shop. They should be actually in a classroom. We just don't have a classroom for them to take the test. We're working on a grant for a computer lab. And so if we get the grant, we had 2 heavy equipment simulators and 25 computers. We got to have a place to put them. There's not a place to put them currently, you know, in STARS. So we need to plan, you know, for all that. Storm shelters, probably, you know, it's probably something that we should have, something we don't have. I mean, it's, so we'll make do with what we have. We have made do with what we have, but those are going to be at the top of my list. Now, is that the top of the list of the people that are going to be on the board? I don't know. That would be at the top of my list of things that we need. And I'm not asking for way more than we're going to spend. At least I don't think that I am. But it's just if we have it to spend it, we'll get right after it. If we don't, then we'll take our time. We'll move patient. We'll move slow. We have done that, and we can continue to do that.
Thank you, Dr. Allen.
Okay. Anything else for me?
I don't have anything. So I guess if we, you know, if you'd stated, you know, that you have all this remodel and stuff between now and next year, and we're gonna be working on budget in June, is that, I mean,
Start
come June?
Before June, probably.
So is it, if we budgeted, we were able to do something in budget for next year, how would that help you? I mean,
So next year starts in January for you guys, or starts in June? January 1? Not an issue at all. If I'm gonna put my cards on the table, what I was hoping for was a motion, any motion that we're gonna do something for STARS. With that motion, I start calling people and start seating a board. And so we got a board, this is what we have. I go to a bank and I say, okay, this is what we've got, this is what we need, you know, can you make a loan for this project? We keep all the receipts. If you want me to come back in a year or come back in 2 years, whatever you guys think the good time frame is going to be, we come back with receipts, we come back with pictures, we come back with tangible improvements that we made. I promise you that up to this point, I've had to be a good steward of money. I will continue to be a good steward of money, but as soon as we get a motion, then it won't be me that's being a steward, it'll be the board. And so, and then I'd like a county representative, you know, whether it's one of you guys, whether it's Sean, whoever you guys think is going to be the best representative for the county, to be on those quarterly meetings, and they'll be able to report back to you that yes, we are being good stewards.
Gary, what kind of motion could we put together? So I'd like, you know, if we're going to budget for this, I'd like to see you guys during budget season when we see everybody else and have your board already in place and a very detailed plan. I mean, I plan to be very, very detailed on budget this year. I think we got to move a lot of stuff around and make sure we're doing everything the way we need to. Gary, what could we do to,
Let me see if I understand what you're thinking. Are you thinking taking some money out of the current budget, giving it to them now, and then making a commitment to build something into the budget in the future, or just build something in the budget?
I mean, I think what we just talked about was just building something into the budget, correct? I mean, that'd be,
That works. I don't need anything now.
Well, then your motion, I suppose, if you want to do it, would be to make a commitment to build something into the budget for support for them for the future.
And I'd be happy with a range. If there's a range that, if I come in with a board and we can stay at the lower end of the range, we do that. If we need to go to the upper end of the range, it's just something that I can take with me, that I can start the building process.
David said a mill's 320,000, half a mill would be 160,000. There's a range.
I'm not trying to slow play this or anything that way, but I'm not really ready to move forward with this.
Not a, I'd like to see a more detailed budget from you guys if we could, to Dr. Allen, to see exactly what you're gonna use your money for, and just a detail for us to look at, myself.
It's hard to set a board with nothing to spend. It's hard to get people to volunteer their time for something that might happen. I mean, I'm happy. I'm the guy asking, so I'm not telling, I'm asking and you guys need me to deliver more, but it's going to be hard.
And I'm not saying that I couldn't be ready by next week. I'm just saying that I need some more time to process and talk and do things that way.
yeah, I get that. I'm trying to put everything together.
We're good. It's way more important to get it right than it is get it fast. This is important to get it right. It's sustainable. We've put it out here for you guys to think about, and you need to think about it. And I can get you what I think is a budget pretty quickly, but it will be mine. I don't think that's the right thing to do. I'm in a lot of ways, I'm too close. What we've got donated now wouldn't even pay me back for the cash that I've donated.
And I guess what we're looking at, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, it's kind of a needs assessment. You detailed some of your needs and things that way. Can we just get that?
How precise do you want?
Estimates?
Estimate on the parking lot, estimate on the remodel.
What you're going to need to remodel. I know we've got the building, what the payoff's going to be on it. The storm shelter, what it's going to have to look like, size. I'm not asking for hard figures.
Sure, right.
I'm asking, that's all year one. Where are we looking at year 2, year 3, if we're asking for a multi-year commitment?
So the hard structures is going to be just one time. I fully anticipate that we get hard structures, we get those quick, the needs is going to go way down. If we got to do those over time, we can do it over time. Just so we're clear, I can get that back to you. I cannot seat a board.
I understand that.
And get a board to meet and have the board say what they think is going to be important. It's just so we're.
It could be two different answers.
It could be two different answers.
Once you get your board.
Right. But I mean, if we're going to consider it, I feel like it's information that we have to have.
The hard structures are not going to change. And the hard structures are going to be what they are. It's not going to change. It's what we do with, okay, what course pathways do we offer? How important is it to get carpentry up and going? These are the things that the board, it's going to be softer things that the board, I think, is going to help. The hard structures are the hard structures. And the hard numbers are, we're going from just over 40 kids to just under 120 kids.
And Fort Scott receives state money for these kids, and that's how they're paying for the teachers' salaries and.
Well, it's not state money necessarily. It may be tuition money. It may be part of Senate Bill 155, but, and I can't tell you a lot about Fort Scott's budget and how they work. I just am not involved in that. I can tell you how it works in my world, that with state Medicare money, it's like 19 cents on the dollar. So it is money, but it's the only guy that pays a full dollar is the guy that has no insurance. Insurance was running about 59 cents on the dollar. Kansas, last I looked, was about 19 cents on the dollar. So it's going to be money, but it's going to be at a reduced, it's the state negotiates contracts, with them. And I can tell you that it's going to be like that some. So it's going to be real tangible money, but it's going to go back into supplies and it's going to go back into the cost of salary. And so.
But I mean, they have to be receiving that money from somewhere in order to be putting it into this, or is it coming out of their general fund?
Well, this year, and this is my understanding, this year it's coming out of their general fund. Next year, it starts sustaining, the programs that we have start sustaining themselves.
That's why I'm asking what money.
But the first year of a program will always be paid October of the following year. And so they get graduations, they get all that, they turn all that in.
Okay.
And then they start getting reimbursed on that. And so if I act like I have confidence in that, I don't.
So if they're considered a trade school, can they levy their own tax? I mean, by state statute?
I don't believe so.
Well, and I don't want to do it
Right. I was just
because we can. I want
Right.
to do it because we think we need to. It's I don't want this to be me ramrodding it through. I want this to be the whole community is getting behind this and feels like this is something that's good for the community and good for our kids. And even if we could, I wouldn't ask for that.
There are some trade schools that are specifically authorized by statute to do that, but you've got to be one of those or associated with one of those to benefit.
So we need more time. You guys, let me know when you need me to come back. I'll try to get real numbers as close as I can to when we come back. You know my timeline. You know what we're trying to do. And my phone's available to call and give tours, and anybody that wants to come by and see what we're all about. Last day of class is the 12th. If you want to see the kids in action, come by this week, because next week's going to be finals week. And so they're all going to be testing, and the action you're going to see is them with a pencil probably, but we'll see what we need to do to make it happen. And it's more important to get it right than it is to get it fast. Thanks for your consideration.
if we could get you guys 2 weeks, is that good? Could you get us what we're asking for in 2 weeks, you think?
I quit making promises that I need somebody else to deliver a long time ago. And so, and what I'll need is estimates from, the people that do concrete work and the people that do parking lot work and people that do remodeling and things like that. The last estimate, and I tried hard to get architect stamp approval for remodeling, and we just didn't have the funding there. And it's $3,000, what he told me at the time. And it may still be that, it may be a little more than that, but those are hard numbers. I cannot do a thing with any permanent structure in the building without an architect stamped approval of this is the plan. We send it to the fire marshals, and then the fire marshal sends it back and says, yes, it's approved, or we need more information. And so there's a whole lot of unknown in this, and it's just got to start somewhere.
Okay.
So we'll do what we can.
Thank you, Dr. Allen.
Thanks for your consideration. Well then.
Besides what you see on your agenda, Pam had come in, I think, with something that was gonna be pretty quick.
Come on up.
All except for the waiting.
Pam Cannon, GIS Mapping Department. And it is time for our renewal on our Esri software. It is something we have to do every year. It's kind of, when I explained it last year, when I give it was like the big Duramax diesel with all the bells and whistles, or the big four-wheel drive tractor. This is just a renewal for it. It's 27,500. Sorry, my phone's going off in there. It's already in the budget, so I'm not asking for anything new. It's time for the renewal. And then I have another request. Sorry. It is a request to get a fee established for someone to be able to access this that's not a county employee. It would be specific layers that I allow them only to see, and it would, this one in particular is, I believe they're a developer within Linn Valley Lakes, and they had purchased an ARC reader as our free software, but we put together a little mini GIS system for them. We don't do that anymore. Our software they don't even use ARC reader for that anymore. So it would just be them being able to access the information that we have in our secure portal. It's not public facing information like just the parcels. You can go out there to the ORCA site, the Open Records for Kansas Appraisers, and get the parcel lines and the parcel information. This is more specific information like the contours, the elevation, the dimensions and things like that. They want to be able to access that and are willing to pay a yearly subscription to do that. And I'm thinking $100, $150 range per year.
How many people do we have do this usually?
Well, we don't have anybody that's allowed inside our secure portal at this time. I had talked to you last year about charging the cities, trying to establish a fee to charge the cities, but you guys chose not to charge the cities. And so this would be more of an individual. It could be a certified licensed appraiser. They pay a subscription to access the county sales. And that's just basically like a spreadsheet. Then they would have to go out and find that on the portal, but we could give them access to the sales map that we have, and that's not public information. They have to be a certified licensed appraiser, but we would want to establish a fee if somebody was interested in doing that. And if they chose to do that, if we set a fee and they chose to do that, then I would set up their user and password. And then if they didn't pay, then I would disable them as a member of our organization.
The yearly fee or each time?
Yearly.
Yearly.
Because I wouldn't have to reproduce this every year. There might be things that we have to maintain or update if something changed, but like the contours and stuff, we haven't changed those since 2012.
As far as the cities, how often do they utilize it? Can you?
I really haven't pursued too much of that. I did get Lacine set up on it with specific, like their specific zoning, specific layers that are only, that I wouldn't be normally doing for the county. I know they use it and get on there. I don't know how frequently or how often, but I haven't really had the time to, so we're doing this for free, so it's not my top of the list priority to take care of.
And do we do this with other departments? Does like the appraisers allow banks to do things? Does anybody know?
They're not allowed in this right now.
Well, yeah.
This would be something that's above and beyond the parcel information.
Okay.
And you said that the Esri software, you have it budgeted each year, right?
Yes, it's every year. And it allows us to do the lot splits, the plats, and then all of the mapping. It's basically creating the crop that our other expensive software, the Connect Explorer, has that oblique imagery, that super great imagery. We can put those crops in that, and so we use them both quite a bit, and they're pretty valuable. This Esri software also allows for our mobile apps for the sanitation inspections. It records the weed spraying, what roads have been sprayed, field maps, allows for the surveys we've been doing with economic development and the ones you guys are talking about for the employees. We used it for the comprehensive plan.
So are you on a so many year contract with them on stated at this price at 27.5?
Yeah, I think it's guaranteed for 3 years at this price. I think it was last year that they raised it. It had been 25,000 for multiple years, and they raised it to 27,500. So it's the same as it was last year. It also, I got a subpoena to testify in a court case on an incident where they were trying to throw out some evidence. And so I had to testify to distances and different things on that. And having this great imagery and the software was able to give a very good testimony, and they weren't allowed to throw out that evidence. So it's cross-departmental, it's used with all of our departments within the county. It's just really expensive.
So with your time and effort, do you feel like that the city should be charged for this? You're probably not gonna answer that, are you?
I felt like they should have in the first place because I was creating layers specific to them.
And does that take a lot of time?
Yes. But I think it's a good thing that we have that information, especially when it's adjoining to something that we might be trying to work with the cities on economic development. They can see how it's zoned here, how it's zoned within the cities. It's also a great backup for them. When Pleasanton City Hall burnt, they lost a lot of records. We were able to give them back what we had. Had we not had some of that stuff, then it would have just been lost forever. But
Would now be a good time to reassess if we should charge them or not? How do you guys feel? Or keep it how it is?
Good with what it is, really, I suppose. What do you guys think?
I'm good with how it is. If we're gonna open it up for other people, though, I do think we need to go ahead with the fee part of it. They're gonna use it to save them time or money.
So you think 150 a year is suitable for you? I mean, does that cover your cost and things like that to do it?
I think it's a reasonable, and if you keep it low enough, then they'll continue it every year. If you get it too high, they might do it the first year, and then it's like, well, we're not using this that much.
Individuals do you see that will utilize that, do you think?
Well, I think once the word gets out and different, especially when I think that would be a very reasonable cost. It's hard to say, but the biggest deterrent is people who are afraid of technology that don't get on the internet for anything like that. So those people aren't going to mess with it. But someone like this that wants to be able to pull that up on their desktop via internet, then they're gonna see a grand use in it. And the one that they had purchased timed out, or they would still be using it, but it had timed out, and so they weren't wanting that same capability, but we didn't offer that for purchase anymore.
So you have people asking for it, is what you're saying?
Yes, and I don't think it's right for me to spend my time the county's paying me for to produce something that's not benefiting the county.
I'd make a motion that we approve the renewal of the Esri software for $27,500, and also put a charge on a yearly or a 1 year fee of $150 for individuals in the community to access. It'd be the Esri, right?
It's the secure portal,
Or secure portal.
which we use Esri to create that in the portal.
My motion.
I'll second it.
Motion and moving second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
Do you want me to sign this over there, or do you want the chairman? It would create that purchase order basically, so they can. send us the bill for it.
They probably be good for Danny to sign it since they just voted to approve it.
Just on both these spots?
Print one and sign the other. I don't remember which one's which.
Thank you, Pam. Darren, you ready?
Good morning, Commissioners. Darren Wilson, Planning and Zoning Director. I've got a couple of things today, a conditional use permit and a zoning change. First one is conditional use permit 2303 for a commercial kitchen. The owner is Samantha Mills, and she's here today. It's located at 16651 County Road 1095, Lacine, Kansas. Zoning is agricultural. Notice was properly posted in the official county newspaper on March 22nd, 2023. In addition, notice was sent to owners of all properties within 1,000 feet pursuant to state law and the Linn County zoning regulations. Adjoining properties are zoned agricultural. The subject property is currently zoned as agricultural. The property is fronted along County Road 1095, utilizing a singular ingress and egress. This application for conditional use permit is to permit the applicant's desire to be authorized to operate a commercial kitchen. All necessary notifications to surrounding landowners and properties made by United States Postal Service and publication of notice of hearing in the official county paper. Staff findings. The use does fit with the character of the neighborhood, as all nearby properties are agricultural. The zoning of nearby properties are agricultural. The property is suitable for proposed use. The proposed use will not detrimentally affect nearby properties. Properties will remain as currently zoned as agricultural and has not been vacant. The applicant currently lives at the property. The proposed use would not detrimentally affect the public health, safety, and welfare, and would benefit public welfare by providing a boost to local economy. The requested conditional use permit conforms to the Linn County current comprehensive plan. Staff does recommend approval of this conditional use permit with further information, copy of business license, copy of state inspection from the owner of the property, and that, well, have you had your inspection? Have they come out yet? Okay, she's got it scheduled for them to come out and inspect the kitchen and to give her license. And that was part of the conditions that they put on the application for this. And they voted yes, 8-0, or 8-0, sorry.
If you want to approve it, your motion would be to adopt the staff findings as your findings and to approve the conditional use permit with the conditions recommended by the Planning and Zoning Board. But feel free to ask questions.
You guys got anything?
I don't have any questions.
Think everything was covered?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. How often do we review these CUPs?
I keep a log. If there's conditions put on for timeframes. It's up to the planning and zoning commission to, some of them, they put timeframes on, some of them, they're unlimited time. So it just depends on
What's happening?
what they recommend. Zoning change Z2302 for Teresa Tibbetts. Property location is north of West 1000 Road in Gwen. There's no address as of right now. Applicant has been approved for a lot split of 5 acres to sale or lease under current zoning agricultural. The parcel will be below the minimum of 10 acres in size and requires rezoning as agricultural residential. Staff recommendations and findings. The proposed zoning change conforms to the character of the neighborhood by providing the combined usage. Neighboring ag and ag residential zone properties are of larger size. Property is suitable for permitted use of the proposed ag residential zoning and will not negatively affect nearby properties. The proposal rezoning of the land creates no change or effect of surrounding properties and not create any additional infrastructural needs. Staff recommends approval of this zoning change. Planning and Zoning Commission voted 8-0 in favor of it.
Do we have a specific motion we need for that, Gary?
It would just be a motion to approve the zoning change. You don't necessarily have to make findings on those.
I'll make a motion that we approve Z2302
Yes.
zoning change. That's my motion.
Second.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. What else you got?
We had our public hearing last Thursday night. It went really well. There was some communications, obviously, about wind and solar. We're gonna try to have a workshop this week to discuss those things that were talked about and make those changes. And hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, I'll be bringing the new zoning regulations before you guys for approval, or however you guys decide to go forward.
How big a crowd did you have?
I think there was about 60 people.
Did you get a lot of input, negative, positive?
There wasn't really a lot of negative with the things that I'll present to you when I come before you. There'll probably be questions, which is obviously fine. There was a lot of questions about solar energy, since that's newer, since the county's already went through the wind situation. So that's stuff that we'll discuss this week on the solar to put into the zoning regulations or the solar regulations. That's all I've got.
You guys got anything?
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get you copies.
All right.
Okay. Had a deal on there about the solid waste contract and fees. My idea was, I thought you were gonna make a decision on GFL's fees or their offer on how they were.
I think we need to have a just legal discussion on that and a couple other things.
What do you want?
So I think maybe 20 minutes for legal consultation.
I'll make a motion. We go to executive session for 20 minutes legal.
Thank you.
Next.
Second it.
Motion been moved, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ready?
We had a little bit of action.
I've got a contract here, that I wrote and has been signed by the grants for the, sale of Meemaw's location to the county. I need, you to make a motion to enter into this contract and authorize Danny to sign it, and to close at the earliest possible time.
I'll make a motion that we enter into the contract to purchase the Meemaw's building and allow Danny to sign the contract, closing at the earliest possible timeframe
And I suppose we should throw in there that it's $73,000.
for $73,000. Got a second?
Can I second my own signature?
Sure.
I'll second. Motion been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 2-1.
I think that's the only action. Dave, if you could send me a copy of that.
All right. We kind of did a little bit of discussion on the county buildings. We have that on the agenda. Is there anything else when you guys want to talk about those today? Or are we just going to wait? And to come back in, what, 2 weeks? Good with that?
I'll be back in a couple of weeks, so, yeah, that's
Yep.
fine.
Good on that. David and I talked at one point, if the cost on the county attorney's office become prohibitive to do what he needs to be done for the storage area that he needs, then we had talked about possibly switching here and there and moving his storage here, but we don't know. The original thought was to take out a bunch of walls and open it up. If that's still the same premise, it may turn out to be more expensive because of the gutting the structure and a new roof. So there's absolutely, David and I are not anywhere near having enough information to tell you anything more than that. But I did want to let you know that we really haven't got a final answer on what's the best suited for that building.
Okay.
All right. We'll move to a few table items. Hey, Sean, have you guys heard anything on the airport? Jessica, I think it might be more of a Jessica question, maybe.
Selling it.
Selling it.
If there's been any movement on that, but if she's got any answers for you that I'm unaware of, let me check.
I have still not heard back from the state, so they are on my list to follow up with this week. So I don't have any answers yet.
Have you heard anything from, is public talk to you, or have you heard any rumors or anything about, us doing anything with that? I mean, people against it, for it?
The people that have mentioned it to me think it would be a good idea to no longer run it as a county because of the cost.
Should we call an airport board meeting and kind of just state our plan of what we're doing, or do you think that's our?
Do you want to wait until we can get better answers from the state and then schedule that?
Yeah.
Would that be, okay.
Yeah.
That way we can
Yes, they don't return anything. I mean, as far as,
do what?
they haven't returned anything. You haven't had any response.
No, so the last I heard, was when they told me that, if you receive that CAPE funding, which our last round was in 2019, that it has to remain a public access airport for 10 years after that. I asked her if we could write that into a sales contract, into a sales contract, and she was going to follow up with her legal department. She didn't know the answer to that. So that's what I'm waiting on.
10 years.
And that's not to say we couldn't sell it, but we would have to pay back a prorated amount of that. And I think the total on the last one was 200,000. So we would have to pay back a portion of that.
It was kind of a waiting game, pretty much. I mean,
Yep. She is on my list, though, to reach back out to this week.
okay. You guys got any more questions about it?
I don't have.
$2029.
What'd you say?
$2029.
We talked about those chairs out of the judicial building, those chairs, benches, whatever you want to call them. There's a little bit of, I mean, do you guys want to donate that to the Stars if they can try to let them, or what do you guys want to
I
do?
asked Dr. Allen while he was here if they would have any interest in any of that stuff. You know, he offered to store it. I asked him if they would have any interest in just taking ownership of it, and he said they'd be thrilled to. And I also mentioned that there were maybe some things in the old jail that might be included in there.
Okay.
The county has no use.
Is there someone who can develop a list of what all these things are so we can do one resolution to declare it all surplus?
I would suggest maybe if Sean and Dr. Allen went in there and made a list and brought it back to us, that we could do that.
Because then we could just put it on a resolution, have you pass that, and that takes care of it.
Kevin, you've retrieved everything that you need out of there, right? Correct?
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything in there that needs to specifically stay in there to, if that building was ever kept, that you can think of? No? Sean, did you hear what we were talking about?
No, I did not.
We're talking about the chairs and benches out of the old court building and some of the items that are left in the old jail. If you could get with Dr. Allen, maybe walk through it and see if there's anything that we can donate to them and they can benefit off of, and get a list together, and we'll just donate it to them.
If you can get me a list, I can do a surplus resolution, just take care of all of it at once.
I will. And then before we contact the cities about the meeting on the 22nd, I need a time to let them know when to show up. We're gonna have them come in about the compactor sites and have a discussion with the cities and or lakes that have those in them. But I need a time to tell them when to appear on the 22nd.
I have not scheduled anything out that far yet.
10:30.
I'm guessing, I mean, is that gonna be a lengthy discussion, do we think, or?
Do you think we should not negotiate, should we talk about the contracts and what KDHE is expecting out of us and we have to expect out of the city? Is that kind of what we want to go over?
I think we should. I also think they want to know what you're thinking as far as whether we're going to leave the compactors where they are or if we're going to continue that program. Some of the discussion that we've had lately about those compactors has caused some concern, and they are responsible for maintaining the properties. So that's part of it too.
So we'll just discuss in depth everything.
Well, I don't know, I mean, how much time do we wanna set aside?
They need to go from 20 minutes to 45 minutes, depending.
Yep.
I mean, we started at 10:30, well, it'd be just a matter of getting done with other things we need to do that day by then.
Okay. Works for me.
And a reminder, I mean, we touched on the subject of budget a little bit today, just in conversation, but we're gonna be hitting that hard soon. So that's gonna take up a lot of your time in meetings over the next 2 months, I think, just looking at all the budget proposals coming in. So just be prepared for.
So is there any other big ticket items that we want to get on for workshops in the next?
Can we look at the employee survey plan on the 15th? Will that work?
I think so. Is there anything we want to put on the schedule for next week as a big ticket discussion that we can think of that we need to address?
Person right now.
So when do we have Randy coming back in for
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
It'll be
Okay.
15.
The 15th?
For him.
I don't think that'll be too lengthy to you.
He's got any bids, that's it.
As far as the employee survey plan, you just want to try to get a,
So I'm
Platform together.
hoping to be able to lay out for you, I guess, how we look at it coming together and maybe even have the list of questions ready for your approval.
okay.
So that maybe we can go ahead and get things moving on it instead of continuing to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, next week we'll just kind of take it as it comes, I guess. We don't have really anything big workshop or anything to discuss. It doesn't look like, so. Might change between now and then. You guys got anything else?
I don't have anything.
Anybody? Anything else? I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.